Welcome back for another video. In today's video we'll be looking at everything you need to know for Gameweek 37. The Roundup is a series on this channel that arms you with useful information to take into each game week to arrive at better decisions. This includes the top players for predicted points, the bookies odds, transfer trends and more. We'll start with the Goalscorer Odds, which are always based on the assumption that a player starts, and this is sometimes not the case. Odds aren't yet available for both double game week fixtures, so we've used FPL Review's algorithm, and it's Danny Ings who's topped this game week with a 64% chance of scoring any time across both games. He's had a stop-start season, but he's picked up a couple of goals and an assist in his last 3 appearances. What makes him such a tempting pick is the injury substitution for Watkins in the Liverpool game. If Watkins is expected to miss the double, then Ings at 8.4% ownership is a massive differential. Richarlison is close in second with a 63% chance of scoring any time. He too has had a stop-start season, but he's put up good numbers under Lampard and a great player to consider with the double game week. Kane has a 57% chance of scoring for the home fixture against Burnley. If they play with a low block, it could suit Kane more than Son, but Son has been in unstoppable form and narrowly misses out of the top 10 with a 41% chance. Vardy got his first league start since Game Week 28 last game week, and he was on the score sheet twice. Whether he starts both this double game is another question, and perhaps too expensive to punt on. Salah has a 55% chance of scoring and is still an option for captaincy despite the single game week. You'd expect him to start the final 2 league games, and Southampton's a very good fixture for Liverpool. Chelsea finished this season with 2 great home fixtures, but Lukaku looks to stretch too far given the price tag. Onto the clean sheet odds, and Aston Villa are atop this game week with 2 home games against Palace and Burnley. If you can find room for 1 or possibly 2 Villa defenders, it looks a good punt. They've not kept any clean sheets against the top 8, but they've kept 8 versus the bottom 12 in 15 games. Second this week is Everton, who also play their double game week at home against Brentford and Crystal Palace. Everton have 3 clean sheets in their last 6, so the likes of Mykolenko, Holgate, Pickford are all among the options to consider in defence. Chelsea face Leicester a few days after the FA Cup final. Alonso and James Owens will be hoping for another start. Tottenham's win against Arsenal does play perfectly into Chelsea's hands, as they lead the Gunners by 4 points now, and they'd have to lose both games to not finish third. Burnley's first of their double is away to Spurs, and if Reguilon remains out, Sessegnon could be an excellent bargain pick for 4.3 mil, perhaps a bench filler on a free hit if required. Man City have a 42% chance of a clean sheet against West Ham, but they're now missing Diaz, Walker, Stones and potentially Laporte at the back. West Ham rarely fail to score at home, so it could be a tough game, having scored in their last 12 home games in a row. Liverpool are still patiently waiting and hoping for a Man City slip-up, and they've got a 40% chance away to the Saints. Robertson is expected to return to the starting 11 after missing the last league game as rotation before the final. Crystal Palace have a 43% chance of a clean sheet across their double. Sadly, there's been no stand-up picks in the Palace defence this season. Guehi, Mitchell, Kouyaté and Ward are all still the same price that they started Game Week 1 at. If you're considering a Palace defender, Anderson looks the best, but there's little in it, and perhaps Holgate for 4.2 mil is better. The Burnley defence is definitely in the void for the double. They're still missing me, and Tarkowski went off with a hamstring injury in the 46th minute last game. Therefore, it could be a centre-back pairing of Collins and Long. Rock bottom this game is Southampton with an 8% chance against Liverpool. West Ham have a 9% chance for the Man City game. Onto the predicted points, and Richarlison's top with 9.7 points. Despite Everton's ball draw against Watford, he's still first in the league for expected goal involvement over the last 6 game weeks on 5.7 XGI. If we get news that Watkins will miss the double, Ings is one to strongly consider as perhaps the best late punt available for the season. However, as always, wait for the press conferences. Digne and Zaha are tied on 7.9 points, both excellent picks this game week, and Zaha faces Man United home in Game Week 38, which is certainly a fixture he could get something in. The caveat with Digne, Cash and Martinez is the Man City fixture in Game Week 38, where you'd want to avoid playing them. Gordon and Gray are about even on 7.7 and 7.5 points respectively, therefore Gordon's the more sensible pick for 0.7 mil cheaper. If you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing to the channel for future content. Onto the most transfer players, and Nketiah is top with over 115,000 picking him up. He's continued to impress since becoming first choice, but the Spurs game was a tough one after the early red card for holding. Zaha's been picked up by just shy of 100,000 managers, and he's 5th among all players for predicted points in the final 2 game weeks. De Bruyne top Game Week 36 with the biggest score of the season, finishing on 30 points, and 75k have picked him up for the final 2. Son was on the score sheet again versus Arsenal, and he now trails Salah by only 1 goal in the Golden Boot race. He was withdrawn in the 70th minute as well when the game all but wrapped up, so it could still be one to consider for the armband. Ings, Cash and Watkins unsurprisingly heavily bought in, but we're yet to find out the availability of Watkins, so as always wait until as late as possible before making any moves. Trossard's an interesting one. Sadly, you'd say there's probably more sensible picks elsewhere at his price point, but over the last 6 game weeks he's third among all players for points with 54. Only De Bruyne and Son have more. On to the most sold players, and Dennis is top. It was another disappointing double for Dennis, finishing with 2 points this time after an injury ruled him out of the Everton game. If you have a route to upgrading him to Richarlison, it looks well worth it. Salah is the second most sold with 100,000 dropping him. He too bitterly underwhelmed in the double with a blank in the first and then a surprise bench in the second. Considering his ownership and fixtures, it's a risky sell, but if he were to have done so for Son or De Bruyne a few weeks back, he'd be significantly up. Mount is a surprise to see heavily sold after a good performance in the double, and Chelsea finished the season with 2 home games against a leaky Leicester and Watford side. It looks like as soon as the Jesus train left the station, it stopped at the next one, as he's been dropped by 40,000 managers after finishing the double with 2 points. We'll finish the roundup as always with the captaincy poll results. Thanks to everyone who voted on the poll on our Discord. If you'd like to join, the link's in the description. The results are in and they are as follows. It's Richarlison top with 40.8% of your vote. As we saw in this episode, he leads for predicted points, so it appears many managers following the data. Son is second with 16% of the vote. As discussed, he still has the golden boot and top 4 to play for. Zaha follows closely in third at 14.6%, followed by De Bruyne on 7%. Salah has just 5.9% of the vote, which is the lowest of the season. Ahead of the deadline, I'll share the predicted effective ownership for Gameweek 37, so make sure you're following on Twitter to catch that. Elsewhere, a few votes for Ings, Kane, Watkins and Cash. 5.2% voted for other this week. Thank you for watching this Game Week's episode of the Roundup. If you found it useful, please hit like to support the channel and hit subscribe if you're not already. I read every comment, so as always I'm keen to hear your thoughts.